We've wildcarded, but I think I can make this team better, especially in the defense. I also have a little bit of midfield dilemma that I need to decide on before finalizing the team for Game Week 24. And we'll touch on a little bit of transfer news as well as news in general that will impact our FPL teams moving forward. Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Femi. Let's jump into it. All right, so we have a little bit of FPL news, a little bit of transfer news that will impact our teams moving forward. And they affect teams that are at the top of the table, in the middle of the table, and at the bottom of the table. So let's start at the top. So at the top of the table, we have the news where 3 Aston Villa midfielders, Kamara, Tielemans, and McGinn, are injured. So as you can see on the screen, they have various injuries that will take them out for many weeks. And in Kamara's case, Coach Emery thinks that he's done for the season. So when you look at that compared with the minutes that they've played, outside of Rodgers, these are the second, third, and fourth highest minutes played for midfielders at Villa. So naturally, it's like, how is Rodgers going to be able to do well in this environment? He's going to be playing with different players who are not as familiar with him and his movements. I know he's such of a maverick type of a player, but how will that impact him moving forward? It also brings up this interesting conversation with Bukayo Saka, because as you will see later in my draft, I am having this hard time of leaving Saka out, even though he is currently out of my squad for Rodgers. But now with all this Villa injury news, does that change my mind a little bit? We'll explore that later. Now, looking at the team in the middle of the table, currently in 7th, is Fulham. And so the big transfer news here we see is Oscar Bob is headed to Fulham. Now, Oscar Bob was an interesting player at Man City because he had a lot of potential. He got a big injury, and now he's trying to work his way back up. He's gone for almost 30 million pounds. So naturally, you're thinking, how is this going to affect the man in form for Fulham in Harry Wilson? The thing with Fulham is they also have other options. They have Kevin. They have Chukwueze, who's back from AFCON. And now they have Oscar Bob. You don't play almost 30 million pounds to have this player sit on the bench. So the thing that we also know about Harry Wilson is he used to be a super sub, a bench player that came on and made a big impact. Now he's been playing starter minutes. And there's this whole view that they're looking to renew his contract. Are they looking at Bob as a replacement? These are all things you need to consider when we look at Fulham assets moving forward, and if Harry Wilson's minutes will be eaten by these returning players, as well as Bob coming in from City. Finally, the last bit of news that we want to highlight here is Paquetá going to Flamengo. So this one was a long time coming, and they actually potentially have found a match here, as it's been reported. So what this means is, Paquetá for me was never really a good FPL asset, as you can see with some of these stats. I never really tried to put him in my squad, but it does impact one-star man that they already have in the team in Jarrod Bowen. So Bowen usually was not on penalties when Paquetá was there. Now with him potentially leaving, he becomes a penalty taker, as we all saw in Game Week 23 when he scored. So it naturally makes the conversation a lot more interesting. Jarrod Bowen or Igor Thiago? As we all know, and you may have known on this channel, I made the switch from Thiago to Bowen, and now back from Bowen to Thiago on my wildcard. But when you look at their stats, although Thiago has so many more goals than Bowen, they're not that far off in terms of points. And West Ham is starting to show a run of form. They've won 2 in a row. They really want to get out of the relegation zone. Jarrod Bowen, and I've mentioned on this channel before, he wants to be on the World Cup squad. He's going to have every motivation to continue producing. And I think the squad is going to look better. So let's park that for now. And we'll look at the wild card if there's any changes up front we need to do. But that's the view on Jarrod Bowen and how he's going to be impacted by the Paquetá transfer. Now, let's take a look at how my team did in Game Week 23. So in our review of Game Week 23, we finished on 35 points. We had a red arrow to about 7.5K. We do have 3 transfers banked, but of course I'm using the wild card so they don't come into effect. And let's run through the team. So Henderson finished on 1 point. Crystal Palace assets are a little bit tricky right now because of all the changes that are happening with the squad from a transfer perspective. And then we have Chalobah with a 4-pointer and who will be a lock moving forward with all the fixtures run that Chelsea is going to embark on. We had Collins with 1 point and Gabriel with 1 point. In the midfield, the only midfielder who got a return was Morgan Rogers with an assist and DEFCON and an 8-pointer. We had Rice with 1 point, Saka with 2 points, and Foden with 1 point. And Foden has been already moved on to Semenyo, as we know in the wildcard draft. And then finally in the forward line, we have Bowen with a 12-pointer and Calvert-Lewin with 2 points and Haaland with 2 points. The captain pick, I missed the leak. Could not wake up that early to get on that one. So that was unfortunate because I was thinking differential captain in game week 23. And then on the bench, we have Dubravka, the best 4.0 goalkeeper with a strong 5 points. And then Ballard with 2 points. And then I have Malin with 0, who's no longer with Villa, transferred to Roma, and Ruben Diaz, who's currently injured. So that's how the team is looking for game week 23. Let's jump right into the updated wildcard draft and see what changes we're going to make. Okay, so let's take a look at how the team is looking. So ultimately, the thing with Arsenal is originally on this channel, I said the best triple up was Gabriel, Rice, and Saka. So I have Timber in here, and he's a popular pick for so many reasons because he is fifth, as you can see, in terms of scoring from a defensive standpoint. But the way that I play the game is when I look at Arsenal, and I just never really see Timber really, being an offensive catalyst in the sense of him scoring a goal or being the one to assist a goal. Although he leads, strangely enough, the league in XGI at 5.04 from a defensive standpoint, he never seems like he's going to be that involved in the goals. Although he takes these advanced positions, I don't think he can actually deliver necessarily offensively. And the thing with him is, from a perspective of he's 6.3 million, he only has 7 bonus points. Gabriel has 18 and he's 0.6 million more. So naturally I'm thinking, is there a better value I can get when I look at the defenders and when I look at a bonus point perspective? And yes, you look around and you can see Matheus Nunes, the midfielder who's converted to a right back at City. He is 5.4 million and has 14 bonus points. So we take Timber out, we can put in a Nunes at 14 bonus points. We also have options with Gay, who's even cheaper at 5.2 million. He even has more bonus points at 8 than Timber. And Dorgu, who had this great goal against Arsenal in this last game week, although he's injured and out for so many weeks, at 4.4 million, he has 8 bonus points. So yes, that's the reason why Timber potentially is not going to be in the squad. And then what I would also need to do is I would need to change the defense to get an enabler and also a pick that could be good in a few game weeks in Richards, because he has in game week 26 and 27, Burnley at home and Wolves at home. So the idea with this is for the wild card, you should be looking a few game weeks ahead. And this would be just a good way to insulate that, having Richards in place to play in those weeks if I need him. But with those savings, we're already at such a strong position from a team perspective. And then this is where we can get into the potential of, do we want Saka back for the potential game week 26 double that they have if they can defeat Chelsea in the second leg of the Carabao Cup? So then I would be able to have my preferred Arsenal triple up. The thing with Saka is he dominates the ball. In the Manchester United game, I think for some periods of the game, there's over 60% of it on the right wing with Saka. He's the only player in the Arsenal team that causes the double teams. I watch a lot of Arsenal play, and he definitely is always leading the attack. He's their talisman. He's their best player. And when you think of Arsenal scoring a goal, I'm typically thinking about Saka, even when he's had such a rough season. Now, when you look at the top point getters in the midfield, he's, almost in the top, here it is. He's in the top 10 with only 4 goals, and Rodgers is ahead of him with 7 goals and just 10 points ahead of him. But this is where it gets interesting. When you look at both players from a points per match perspective, Rodgers and Saka side by side at 4.8 points per match. So it's such a tough one, right? Because it's like, I know that if Arsenal is to try and win the league, Saka is going to be scoring goals and being more involved. And so it's a tough one because I think that's the best triple up. But the cost, right? Rodgers is 2.3 million less than Saka, so that's why a lot of us have gone to him, and he's been producing. But the only way to make this fit, I'm at 0.8 million, so I'd have to take out Nunez. I could go down to Gay to get that preferred triple city, and then I could downgrade Ballard. Actually, let's just go with Ballard right now, and I could do Alderete. Oh, I'm still short, so I have to go and do Diouf. So I know Diouf is available at West Ham, and then that would work. So from game week 24, I would have my preferred Arsenal triple up, and we can move forward in that way. When we look at the forwards, I do like Thiago and Haaland as my 1-2. Even though Thiago has such difficult fixtures with Aston Villa away, Newcastle away, and Arsenal at home, we feel that he gets all the big chances with Brentford. And going back to the Arsenal thing, if someone's going to score at Brentford, it's probably going to be Thiago, and he's on penalties. Those are such great reasons to keep him. So this is how the team could potentially line up. We would start Chalobah, Gabriel, and Richards. And we'd have the midfield 5, Rice, Saka, Semenyo, Enzo, and Bruno Fernandes, and then Thiago, Haaland. And that's how we could line up if I wanted Saka in the squad. And if not, we could just go back, get Rodgers here, put in Ballard, because Ballard has a nice double, which is sort of what I'm leaning towards, because I could always get Saka later if it works out. Like that Arsenal would double. So I would start Royce and Ballard at home against Burnley, Gabriel and Chalobah as my defenders. And then we'd have Rodgers, Rice, Semenyo, Enzo, Bruno Fernandes, and Thiago and Haaland. So 3-5-2. So it's very simple. That's how it looks. And then we have that great budget, the 1.7 million in savings. So that's it for my updated draft. If you like this video, please like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video.